It's not easy to make proper judgment in a sudden event of an earthquake. That's why it is essential that we practice emergency drills during our daily lives so that we can be prepared for any such circumstances. As soon as you feel the earthquake, hide your body under a table to protect yourself. When the shaking has stopped, shut off the gas valves and turn off the electricity, and locate your way of exit by opening the doors. If you're coming out of a multi-story building, use the stairs and definitely not the elevators. When outside the building, rush to an open field and cover your head while en route. Finally, tune into a broadcasting channel and keep yourself updated on what's happening and what to do next. But remember, prevention is the best solution. This campaign is brought to you by BFM 부산 영어방송.
지금 방송 광고라는 부메랑을 던져보세요. 소비자를 향해 정확히 날아가는 광고. 힘차게 돌아가는 경제. 부메랑처럼 다시 기업의 이익으로 되돌아오니까요. 방송 광고, 경제에 큰 힘이 됩니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
Yesterday was a hot day across the country. However, that did not prevent fans that waited in Chuncheon, Gangwon Province, to welcome RM and V of BTS from military duty back to civilian life yesterday, right? Hundreds of fans also braved the heat to gather in front of the HYBE headquarters from early morning. With the impending discharge of Jimin and Jungkook scheduled for next Wednesday and Suga on the 21st, it seems the Septep will be regrouping soon to make our summer even hotter. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Wednesday, June 11th on BEFM 부산 영어 방송. Good morning, wavers. I hope you're all doing well and surviving this kind of a early summer days that we've been enjoying. And it does seem like we're kind of skipping over that whole phase, that phase of early summer, kind of transitioning and then diving straight into full-fledged summer. And as I said in the opening, yes, it seems, it was really, people were excited yesterday because RM&V, once again, discharged from their military duties. So we are looking forward to, of course, them getting back together, hopefully with some new music, whatever it is, as long as they're healthy, I'm sure. Whether you're Army or not officially, we're all rooting for them. And so the temperatures have been lingering in the high 20s in Busan during the day, and some parts of the country hitting low to mid-30s already. We're also expecting another hot day as we are getting ready for summer. We do have these seasonal health hazards. So what are we talking about? Well, two major concerns, UV rays, 자외선, and ozone levels. With the clear sunny days, ultraviolet or UV rays are at high or very high levels across most of the country, and in some parts, even dangerous levels. By the way, when UV levels are at very high or dangerous levels, you can get sunburned after less than an hour of sun exposure. So that's something to keep in mind. Of course, you want to lather on that sunscreen, but also avoid going outside when the UV levels are at the dangerous levels. What about the ozone? Well, its chemical makeup is 3 oxygen molecules. Okay, so O3 we call it. But it is highly reactive and unstable when it is on the ground level and mixes with vehicles or factory emissions. It can damage living cells, especially damaging to the respiratory system, meaning, your lungs. Atmospheric authorities say that there will be moments in parts of the central and southern regions with high ozone concentrations in the afternoon. So when we talk about, southern regions, that's us as well. As we enter a new season, summer, there are new health concerns, but let's keep all of this in mind so we will be better prepared for the upcoming hot and, yes, soon to be humid summer as well. Now, let's get to our text topic. And of course, I want your thoughts, your opinion, please. It's really important to stay hydrated during these warmer or even hot days. What is your go-to beverage or drink? I'm racking my brain as well. 자, 내가 물 다음으로 혹은 물처럼 마시는 음료는 just as my producer reaches for her tumbler. 피디님, 안에 뭐예요? Water. Okay, she says water. Is it ice water or just water? Water. Just water. So it is just water, she says. So she's staying hydrated, right? As soon as I said it, I think it was like subconsciously she reached for her water bottle. And by the way, it's a tumbler, not a plastic, anything. So send in your thoughts, your opinions, what you reach for, right? In terms of beverage, you can send in your messages to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. Go to the YouTube platform, type in BEFM, 부산영어 방송, to find our channel. Click on the pink logo. You can subscribe and log in to chat with our other waivers out there. From your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. It's going to cost you 100 won. You can also get in touch with me through Kakao Talk as well. The good thing about Kakao Talk is you can actually send in messages, also send in photos, and to find us, BFM, 부산영어 방송, and then you gotta add us as a friend first after you find us, and then you can send in your messages. The ways you can listen to our program, 90.5 or 103.3 FM on the radio if you're in Busan. But like I said, we're streaming live on YouTube these days, so you can check us out. If you're doing so right now, you are at the right place. You can watch again at your leisure. Also, we have the BEFM app and the Papang app, the latter of which you can listen to the Waglwa글 segment. And now, let's look at the lineup for this hump day. We have Now and Next with Lian, and then we have Jennifer with Work in Progress. That is coming up in hour number 2. And for our special interview, we're going to be covering one of the hottest topics right now in the world. We're talking about what's happening in Los Angeles. Right? You may have heard, you may have seen the scenes unfolding as Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE raids that have been conducted, leading to dozens of arrests, and then with the National Guard being deployed. What does this mean? So we're going to find out with our expert coming up in hour number 2. I'll be back with news overview. It's now 7:06. This is News Overview. President Lee and Chinese President Xi hold first phone call. President Lee Jae-myung asked Chinese President Xi Jinping to play a constructive role for the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula in their first phone talks, Lee's office said yesterday. Cabinet approves special probes into ex-President Yoon Suk-yeol and former First Lady Kim Gun-hee. The cabinet yesterday approved bills to appoint special counsels to investigate the botched martial law bid by former President Yoon Suk-yeol and corruption allegations against his wife Kim Gun-hee. U.S. expresses confidence in alliance with South Korea. The United States is confident that the Seoul-Washington alliance will continue to thrive under new South Korean President Lee Jae-myung's leadership, a State Department spokesperson said Tuesday local time. Men's football team beats Kuwait to end World Cup qualifiers with undefeated record. The South Korean national men's football team defeated Kuwait at home 4-0 yesterday, celebrating their early qualification for the big tournament in front of delighted supporters. School shooting in Austria leaves 11 dead. 10 people have been killed in a school shooting in the Austrian city of Graz in what is the deadliest gun attack in the country's recent history. And this was News Overview. It's time for Now in Busan. We have Sejin in the studio with us. Let's say hi first. Good morning.
Hi.
Yes. Well, before we jump into our Busan stories, I want to ask you as well, our text topic. How do you keep hydrated during summer or like really hot days? Is it just water or what do you prefer?
It would be beers, I reckon. No, I'm kidding. It's
At 7:09 in the morning. No.
I'm kidding.
And by the way, she is old enough to drink, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Yes, beer. So honest. What else?
Powerade.
Power thing.
Oh yeah, power thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
What about you?
음료.
Yeah.
For me, I definitely iced water. 얼음은 꼭 있어야 돼요. I don't like, in the morning, my roommate always hands me lukewarm water to begin my morning. And that's so super sweet. Thank you, honey. But it's like, that's like, I can't stand 그 미증한 that warm water. I'm just not a fan.
I've got a question.
Yes.
Do you drink warm Americano in winter?
In winter?
Yeah.
Like Americano?
Yeah, like hot Americano in winter.
Oh, during winter? It depends. Sometimes I still have the It depends. It really depends on the mood. But yes. 얼죽아, 얼어 죽어도 ice Americano. I kind of am. I prefer the iced over the hot. But that's just
Even
me.
in this winter as well?
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Yes. I liked anything with ice.
Ice, okay.
Ice is good. All right, let's jump into our first story for now in Busan. Sejin, I hear that Busan is rolling out or has rolled out a new AI platform that helps restaurants make foreign language menus. And it sounds really useful, so we need some information on this.
It really is. The platform's called Busan Ooling. The name Busan Ooling stands for Busan menus in all languages. It's a result of the largest project for the Busan has been working on since last year. And it aimed at helping local restaurants offer menus in foreign languages.
Yes. And so, in terms of this, sorry, it just sounds so useful. Even for me, like when I first came, like the menu thing was really, really difficult. I'm much better at reading Korean now, and I like the photos too. But it sounds like a game changer, especially for tourists. So how does this work? Is it automatic?
So the platform allows owners to create foreign language menus in English, Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, Russian, and Arabic. When they upload a photo of the menu, AI recognizes and converts the text. Then professional text translator reviews it once more. The foreign language menu is then provided via the QR code.
And we have a little a picture of it on our YouTube page. And I'm glad that they have the professional translator, because sometimes I see like translated menus and it kind of doesn't make sense. So someone is looking over. That's good. So customers, can they just scan the code at the table?
Yes, both restaurant owners, foreign customers can access the menu without installing an app.
Okay.
No apps, no downloads, just one scan. The menu pops up in your language.
Wow.
Any restaurant owner in Busan can sign up and can use this service for free of charge via its website.
I love this idea. I think it's such a good idea. It's been a long time coming. Thank you for sharing that first story with us. Let's move to our next one. What is this one about?
Busan is about to test drive its urban emptying initiative near the Busan station for the first time.
Okay.
So the urban emptying project aims to remove, integrate, and overhaul various public facilities that are cluttering sidewalks and roads, which harm the city's appearance and restrict pedestrian flow. The goal is to create a safer, more pleasant urban landscape. The first phase focuses on the plaza in front of the Busan station and sidewalks around it.
Right, that area, there's a lot of stuff there in that particular area. So how much are they actually changing?
There are 560 public items in total, but 179 are essential urban infrastructure. These include subway entrances, ventilation shaft, and electrical distribution boxes. And there are what we can remove and relocate. So they're working only with the remaining 381 facilities, either demolishing, combining, or tidying them up.
I see. Anything specific they're planning to remove?
They're relocating anything that disrupts the function of this square, like kiosks, monuments, and tourist info booth, and electrical distribution boxes. And there's old taxi stand that's no longer in use. They're taking that out and turning it into the small park. They also add green space around the plaza and redesign the mismatched fences and bowlers, which are all over the place now,
Yes.
to look more consistent.
And I think this is a great idea because sometimes, like, you know, when especially tourists or visitors, they come to Busan Station, that's kind of like the first image they have of our city. So I'm glad they're cleaning it up. All right, next up, let's talk about this. There is a major K-culture event kicking off in Busan this week, correct?
Yes, the Busan Asia Festival is back. It's going to be from 11th to the 13th, mainly at Mexico.
Okay.
This festival goes beyond just K-pop. It's become a space where young people from around the world can come together and enjoy all things K-culture.
Indeed. This is like one of the biggest festivals, one of the biggest in Asia, I hear. So what is unique about this year's festival?
This year marks the 9th edition. This year's K-pop concert will be held indoors at Mexico for the first time. And that means we can expect bigger production, better sound, and a whole lot more creative staging.
Yes.
Also, unlike past years, the concert is now split into two parts, the K-pop omnibus concert and K-pop band concert. Lineup would be artists like Taesung, Super Junior, and NCT Wish will be there performing.
Great. So any side events we need to know about?
There'll also be showcases for rookie artists, talk shows, and an area called Fandom City, where fans can explore more about the culture.
I see. So it just sounds much more immersive. I like the fact that they're taking the fans into account. And now summer is starting soon. Officially, we feel like it's already here. And I hear that Haeundae Beach has something different planned this year.
Yes, Haeundae Beach in Busan is opening for the season on June 21st, which is Saturday. But instead of usual opening ceremony, they're doing something a bit more fun and interactive.
Yes. So what is this? We want to know more.
Guess what? A barefoot walking event right along the beach.
Oh, okay.
It will start at 6 p.m. and they've made a few updates this year.
And why so? And what's different this year?
Due to climate change, the beach is skipping partial openings and opening 10 days earlier than usual.
Okay.
It will stay open longer too, about 2 weeks later than usual, so until September 14th.
So once again, usually we had it on July 1st, but it's going to be June 21st. It does make sense. What else is happening at the barefoot event, though?
On day one, there will be cheerleading and stretching sessions and walking tips at the main event plaza.
Okay.
At 6:30, participants will walk a 1.5 kilometers route down the beach and back, so about 3 kilometers in total. Barefoot, of course.
Of course, like earthing and going in barefoot. That's a thing right now, right? So sun, sand, and steps. Is this open to anyone, everyone?
Yes, but spots are limited.
Okay.
Up to 800 people can take part, with 200 walk-in spots available.
I see. So it is limited. So if you can, register ahead of time. And there are 200 walk-in on spots as well. Thank you for all the Busan updates. And of course, we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Everybody, this was Hudjin. I'll be back with your traffic and weather.
Good morning.
Good morning.
굿모닝입니다.
Good morning.
좋은 아침입니다.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan. Major news, local buzz, and expert takes. It's all here on Morning Wave in Busan. Brighten up your morning commute with Morning Wave in Busan. Morning Wave in Busan.
It is time for your traffic report right now. So there is some congestion on the Dongso overpass from Bomnukgo ramp to the old Kegum tollgate. It's also backed up from Manduk intersection to Nama Expressway at the Tokchon ramp. It's also slow on 중앙대로 from Songgong 3-way intersection to Seomen intersection. And it is backed up on Leunho Samsungdaero from Myeongji underpass to Shinho Bridge. Currently, it's already 22 degrees Celsius under partially cloudy skies, and the daytime high is expected to go up to 28 degrees here in Busan. And yes, the sun will make an appearance by lunchtime. Across the nation, another balmy day with daytime highs going up to 30 degrees in some inland regions. So this was your traffic and weather. All right, listeners. So apparently I made a huge boo-boo in my opening. I was talking about other members of BTS being discharged. It's not next Wednesday. It's today. So I wanted to, of course, make that correction. And please forgive me, Army. I was reading from a translated article. It was translated to English, and that's what it said. I should have done more fact-checking. In the meantime, here is Permission to Dance by BTS.
It's the thought of being young when your heart is like a drum, beating louder with nowhere to guard it. When it all seems like it's wrong, sing along to Elton John and to that feeling we're just getting started. When the nights get colder and the rhythm's got you falling behind, just dream about that moment when you look yourself right in the eye. Then you say, I wanna dance, the music's got me going, and nothing that can stop how we move. Yeah, let's make a place and live just like we're golden and rolling like we're dancing fools. We don't need to worry, just when we're going, we know how to dance. Don't need to talk the talk, just walk the walk tonight. We don't need permission to dance. There's always something that's standing in the way, but if you don't let it phase you, you know just how to break just with the right vibe, yeah. Cause there's no looking back, there ain't no one to prove we don't got this on lock, yeah. The wait is over, the time is not, so let's do it right. Yeah, we keep going and stay up until we see the sunrise. And we say, I wanna dance, the music's got me going, and nothing that can stop how we move. Yeah, let's break our plans and leave just like we're golden and rolling like we're dancing fools. We don't need to worry, cause where we from we know how to land. Don't need to talk the talk, just walk the walk tonight. Cause we don't need permission to dance. No, we don't need permission to dance. Well, let me show you that we can keep the fire alive. Cause it's not over till the summer. Say one more time. Say, I wanna dance, the music's got me going. Nothing that can stop how we move. Hey, let's break our plans and live just like we're golden and rolling like we're dancing fools. Like we're dancing fools. We don't need to worry, 'cause when we fall we know how to land. Don't let the talk, just walk the walk tonight. 'Cause we don't need permission to dance.
It's time for Top Stories. We have Haley in the studio. Let's say hi first. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Doing well.
Yes. We were enjoying that little song break, of course. Purple.
Little chair
everywhere.
dancing.
Purple in our hearts, yes. Question though. What do you reach for on like hot days?
currently I'm drinking my morning coffee, which is black coffee with a splash of milk, which they don't really do in Korea. And then when you ask like, 우유 조금만 넣어주시겠어요? And they're like, why? Like, ew. I'm like, it's good, I promise. But my vice, I'm a heavy water drinker, but my vice is 0 colas with lime flavor. But then I like the lime. Yeah, and then there's lemon, and I don't really discriminate. So I try. I mean, if I could, I would drink one every day, but I don't. Okay. So it's like twice a week. It's like when I get,
That's my guilty pleasure too.
Right?
Like carbonated, 0, some sort of, drink. Maybe like for me once a week.
We do buy like carbonated sparkling water by like the crate at home because that's my dad's go-to drink.
I see.
But I'm kind of like your husband. Because he will reach for his sparkling water first thing in the morning, and I'm like playing I'm like, no, drink flat water,
the
warm water first.
Yes, the warm water.
Yeah.
Still can't
There's
get used
one
to
in
it.
every family, the warm water police.
Yes. We're going to jump into our first story. This is news from the presidential office, which announced that it is taking public nominations for top jobs.
Right. So President Lee Jae-myung said that the government will receive nominations from the citizens for minister and vice minister positions for the next week. So President Lee Jae-myung said this via his Facebook yesterday, a post titled "Opening the Door to a Government Where People Have the Powers." So for the next week, the public can post nominations on the designated website, which is the 국민추천 site, or on Lee's official social media page, or via the official presidential email.
Okay.
So once that happens, the names will be put into a database and they will go through a public vetting process, 검증, including from the public office secretary's office. So once the nominee or nominees are determined, he or she will go through the official confirmation and appointment process as they do for minister positions. So President Lee said a true democracy is one where people take ownership of the government, participate, and make changes. So therefore, ask the people to pick out the workers who will lead the country.
Yes, indeed. So that is a different angle, take on governance. Staying on news from the presidential office, President Lee Jae-myung held a call with Chinese President Xi Jinping yesterday. I just briefly mentioned it, but we need details.
So you'll actually go over the contents of the call in Spotlight News, but let's kind of talk about the larger picture because this completes the big trifecta, U.S., Japan, and China.
That's right.
And this comes 6 days into his term, fully launching Lee Jae-myung's brand of what he calls pragmatic diplomacy. So let's parse through the possible underlying message because diplomacy is never overt. It's a subtle, delicate dance, and every word, every minute has a meaning. So let's look at the order of the calls. The first call, of course, with the United States, followed by Japan, then China. And whether it is 미중일 or 미일중, whether it's U.S., Japan, China, or U.S., China, Japan, the two second and third place countries kind of differ from time to time. So some pundits say this order, U.S., Japan, China, aka putting Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru before Chinese President Xi Jinping, it could be the administration's intention of putting more weight onto Korea-Japan relations to kind of not shake up too much the previous his predecessor's diplomacy too much, to err on the side of stability, as there had been some suspicions that Yi, especially when he was candidate, may be pro-China.
Yes.
However, looking at the call duration, so we're really getting into the nitty-gritty details, with the Chinese president, Xi Jinping, Yi spoke on the phone for half an hour. With Japan, 25 minutes, and with the U.S., 20 minutes. I mean, this isn't so overt. It's not like an hour, 2 hours to 10 minutes. But some pundits are saying that the longer call time with President Xi could be a sign that South Korea is not going to cast China aside. Of course, it being a major trading partner of China. So this could be a message of balance. Here, the presidential office kind of drew the line at there being any meaning behind at least the call duration, saying that it's just, it happened. Yes. The length of a call is not significant. However, the office further added that all three calls were done in a very positive mood. But to kind of take it back, South Korea is not in a very comfortable position with any of these big three diplomatic and trading partners because, well, the entire world is in the middle of a possible trade war. They're trying to avoid a trade war between the U.S. and China. And the U.S. has sent messages to its allies to essentially pick a side. So it seems that President Yi is going to try to find solutions not just amongst the three, but via a multilateral approach, with his first diplomatic debut coming up really soon at the G7 summit in Alberta, Canada.
Yes, yes. So, of course, we'll cover that as well, the G7 summit. Well, switching gears. Yesterday with Bonnie, we talked about fishing and the various levels of environmental impact fishing and the fishing industry has. Now, the authorities are considering a fishing license.
Right. So we all felt a little guilty about our seafood consumption.
We did.
I did have plans for seafood for dinner yesterday. And I had plans, but I did eat it with, the environment in mind.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is
If you say
meaningless.
so.
I know. But the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries, they're going to push for a fishing license, 낚시면허. I know amongst our listeners, you like to fish. So I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Okay.
But it's not happening immediately. I do want to throw that importantly. It's going to happen possibly mid to long term to make the activity more sustainable.
Okay.
So it included these plans in the third Fishing Promotions Basic Plans. It's basically their 5-year plan spanning the period until 2029. So for reference, how big is the fishing, not even the fishing industry, but the hobby fishing? Well, there were 4,000 fishing boats registered with 5 million riders annually, and the fishing population estimated at 7.2 million people. The increase of popularity of fishing as a hobby, but that's also leading to higher numbers of fish being caught. But to the point where there are apparently conflicts with people who do this for a living. So with the industry, and then as we discussed yesterday, there are of course environmental concerns.
Indeed. And so what would this fishing license actually entail?
Well, we don't know yet because the plans are being talked about. So it's just really kind of being sketched out right now. The ultimate goal is to introduce a fish catch quota, 어획량 할당제, in phases. And the fishing license would be a part of this. And then there will also be moves to try to promote a healthier, more sustainable fishing culture, including not only how many fish you catch, but also what you do outside the lake, pond, ocean, trash, littering, controlling all of that.
Yes.
So in other areas like the U.S. and Europe, they have fishing licenses and they put limits on the catch and has the license holders pay the cost of using these maritime and aquatic resources. So talks have been in place since the early 2000s, but apparently has run into the wall opposition every single time these were floated. So officials from the ministry say, of course, they're not going to push this immediately, but will go through the necessary public discussion process.
Yes. And so we have people commenting on this, saying, Tommy, I love fishing, and I think there should be a license. And so that's just one person's take.
Right.
But, to make it sustainable. For now, we're going to go to London for our next story, the site of U.S.-China trade talks.
Right. So they've wrapped up day 2 of talks in London on Tuesday local time with representatives from the two nations. They've been trying to ease the trade dispute. So from the U.S., we had Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and Trade Representative Jameson Greer.
Yes.
Representing China, Vice Premier He Lifeng, Commerce Minister Wang Wentao, and Trade Negotiator Li Chengang. So basically, their counterparts were all there.
Yes.
So Lutnick said that the talks were going well, and before day 2 of discussions began, U.S. President Donald Trump said, quote, "We are doing well with China, but China is not easy." Tensions, of course, they've been building as the two nations have exchanged angry words over technology, the student visas for Chinese students, and rare earth minerals in the past several days and weeks. However, turnaround came last Thursday when U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping spoke on the phone at length. And this kind of kicked into gear to attempt to bring things back on track.
Yes. So thank you for reporting on that. Many of our listeners right now are probably listening to us, viewing us, watching us right now with their morning cup of coffee. And I see that you have brought some really interesting beverage-related figures, numbers.
Right. So going back to our text topic, 음료, right? Not just water, but what kind of beverages are you drinking?
Yes.
Well, I don't know what kind you're drinking, but we are definitely drinking more beverages in general as a country. An increase of 20% in the last 20 years. And this
Wait. 20 years?
Oh, excuse me, 20% in the last 5 years.
Okay, I just
Sorry,
wanted
the
to-
caffeine has yet to kick in.
Okay.
20%, 5 years. Forget everything I said before. This is according to the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency, KDC's in-depth reporting on our beverage consumption. But we do have to define beverage, which is obviously not water, but liquids we consume for hydration. It's divided into two different types, unsweetened, 무가당, and sweetened, 가당. Right. So based on the KDC's annual health and nutrition survey over 10,000 people, the latest in 2023, South Koreans drank about 20% more beverages daily. Daily consumption coming to 274.6 grams. So by age group, people in their 30s, they were the heaviest beverage drinkers. So when we are saying 1 cup or 1 serving of beverage, that's about 200 milliliters. So they drank over 2 cups per day of non-water beverage. People in their 20s and 40s, second place, 1.5 cups per day.
I see all my students. They all have a tumbler, and they always bring in those, drinks from coffee
what do you mean
shops.
200 mil? Like, I see the 700,
like
1
venti
liter,
size.
right?
Yes.
And one spills one, and it's like, well, now we're all swimming.
Question.
Yes.
What exactly are they drinking?
Kind of good news. It's kind of healthy, or it's not as unhealthy. Americanos and sugar-free coffee by far first place at 112 milliliters, followed by soft drinks or sodas at about 49 grams. In the last 5 years, though, unsweetened coffee consumption, 무가당 coffee, and low-calorie or zero-calorie soda consumption, they've all gone up. So because of this, although we are drinking more beverages, sugar consumption through liquids, that actually went down very minusculely, though, by about 1 gram on average. So we are really seeing a trend in less sweet drinks. However, though, we're talking about adults with their coffee, hopefully. When it came to kids and teenagers, the sweetened beverages were their top choice. Because, sometimes you can't help it. And what's with the kids' obsession over that penguin, the character penguin drink? Yeah. For kids, the fruit and beverage juices were the top choice. For teens, soda. Sugar intake via drinks, though, that is a concern because they are what we call empty calories.
True.
Because the people who drink these sweeter beverages, they do have a higher possibility of excessive sugar consumption. The likelihood doubled for kids and teens and those in their 20s. Again, sugary drinks, they are an easy way to consume sugar and energy, which in food is calories. But this can also carry risks for obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease.
That's right. So thank you for going over all the details of all the news stories. And of course, we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right, we're ready for our next song. This is Atlantis' 소녀, Atlantis Princess by BoA, as requested by Michael.
저 먼바다 끝에 뭐가 있을까 다른 무언가 세상과는 먼 얘기 구름 위로 올라가면 보일까 천사와 나팔 부는 아이들 숲속 어디엔가 귀를 대보면 오직 내게만 작게 들려오는 목소리 꿈을 꾸는 듯이 나다가 볼까 높은 곳 아무도 없는 세계 그렇게도 만든 질문과 보이지 못한 나의 수많은
It's time for Now and Next. We have Lian here, looking so summery because it's hot.
It is hot.
It is so hot already.
If I wear long pants, I get sweaty. Do you not? During the day now?
However, I teach, so
the air's AC areas.
and not just taxing 앞에서 반바지 낀
그런가요?
So but really the thinnest jeans possible. Like the really, really, really thin jeans, right? Summer jeans, right?
Yes.
So before we jump into our segment, I gotta ask you, what do you reach for your go-to beverage aside from water?
I am a boring person in that way.
So what do you
I
drink?
just drink just water
Just
all
water.
the time. But to make me more urge myself to drink more water, 좀 물이 생수만 먹으면 조금 힘들잖아요.
네.
그래서 보리차 만들어서 먹어요. 하니까 할머니. 근데 what I do is I want to be
I love 보리차.
sure of how much I drink because I'm like health so obsessed.
Yes.
So I 2-liter 페트병을 한 2개 올려놓고 in the morning.
Yes.
And I try to get rid of all of it by the end of the day.
Oh,
so
2
most
liters.
of the at 8 p.m. I see myself gulping down the rest. And then I'm going to the bathroom all 새벽에 계속 갔다가 이건 할 짓이 아니다 하는데 that's how I force myself to drink a lot of water. At least 2 liters. Or more.
Yes.
That is my thing.
I like it, but hey, you're not the only one. I like 보리차 too.
Ice 보리차 is so good.
That's the best.
Yes.
옥수차도 나쁘지 않아요. 자,
메밀차도 맛있어요.
let's get into Now and Next. What do you have for us?
Right. So, have you heard of this new trend among the MZ generation called 교환독서? Which
what
is
is
called
this?
book swap in English. So, it's literally people, these youngsters are exchanging books, and we're not talking about like a book club where we're just gathering and reading books together. Instead of reading alone, groups of friends,
Yes.
or people who've met through an SNS, they pass around a single copy of a book. They underline their favorite lines, scribble thoughts in the margins, basically like put comments wherever they feel like, and then pass the book to the next person. And so they continue, whoever's turn it is, they continue to write their own thoughts or comment on other person's comment.
Okay,
like
okay.
대댓글처럼. Or you can also even, you just underline your favorite part of the book as well.
Yes.
So this is becoming kind of a trend these days. And so one reader cited by a newspaper said that they discovered the exchange reading on social media, and so they gathered a group and they read 9 books over 5 months. And with each book, the friendship grew amongst them. Wow. And some participants select books for each other. Others simply lend what they have read or they already have owned.
Sure.
And it's just not writings also. They also, if there's like a segment in the book where it describes something in very detail, the reader imagines it, how it would look, and draws
oh my goodness.
For example, like a sheep or something, if it's described in the book. And every reader has their own versions of how that, text translates into an image. So it's quite interesting.
Yes.
So that is becoming kind of a trend. And I looked into SNS people are going to their SNS to find whoever's interested in doing this.
Sure.
But also publishers are also, jumping on in the trend. They're advertising like whoever wants to do a book exchange with this certain best-selling book. We're gathering participants. We'll be sending you free books, and then you guys should do it. Like 그 배송 같은 것도 다 해결해주고 해가지고 그런 것도 한다고 하더라고요.
What
so it's
a
quite
great service.
interesting, right?
Yes, I like the
I
idea.
would love to. I could be very introverted when I am, and I'm always interested in book clubs.
Yes.
But I'm so shy because I feel like I have to say something so like meaningful at the book
So
club.
deep,
yes, so
profound.
deep. Like, my perspective is something so not deep most of the time. So. Book exchange, 교환독서가 너무 매력적인 거예요.
I can see
in
it.
my own time, in my own pace of thought, I can just scribble whatever I want, and then without feeling having to feeling judged, I can just pass it on to the other person. So,
yes.
Are you a book lover? Do you do book clubs?
I don't do book clubs. I've borrowed books from Haley, and I'll be honest, I don't read as much as I should. It's always an excuse, right? Always an excuse, like, oh, I'm so busy.
Yes.
So, 2025 was going to be the year.
Oh, was it on your list?
It was on my list. I've barely gotten through 2 books. And it's already, June? So I'm a little behind. I'm a little behind.
too.
I'm a little behind. I'll be honest. And people are arguing about how when you grouped MZ together.
Yes.
요즘은 M하고 Z
좀
조금 떨어져야 되는데.
generation.
And people are insisting 본인은 자기는 턱걸이 MZ래요. 억지 부리지 마세요.
We don't have to be all MZ.
Yes, you don't have to be proud. Be proud of your age.
What generation you are.
All right.
Yes.
Let's move on.
Yes,
So is this a continuation of reading?
Yes.
Okay.
So in terms of, this craze about books.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of BookTube?
What is BookTube?
So we know NotTube. There's the BookTube. So basically, it's a lot of these NotTubers basically recommending their favorite books. And the M or the Z or the MZ generation, they're the ones who's going into these booktubers to get their recommendation of their books. So what do you do to get a good list of books that you want to read?
Usually on people's personal recommendations.
Who's this people? Like your friends, family, students?
I don't have many friends that I still really keep in contact with on a daily basis.
Yes.
I have 2 in the States that are avid readers, and they're always sending me stuff, and I'm just like, okay, I'll get to that list. I will. And then, of course, our writer, Haley, she's always a good source.
She's such an avid reader, right?
Right. And then, always, I do check out the bestseller lists.
Yeah, that's me, because I'm so 초보인 거죠.
But at the same time, I always feel like there have been times where people, a book came highly recommended. It was on the bestseller list, and I read it, and I was kind of slightly underwhelmed.
Oh, I see.
So that's why I like personal recommendations.
Oh, so you have your little buddies that you go to for. For me, I actually I didn't search booktubers online, but there were some influencers that I follow, Healthy Lifestyle on YouTube, and then they started doing book reviews too. And I thought that was so interesting because I loved their healthy lifestyle, and I was wondering what books do they read.
Sure.
So that's what I've been doing. But apparently it is a trend. According to NotTube Korea, videos on the website labeled with BookTube, it surpassed 3.5 million views in the first half of last year alone.
Yes.
And basically the format of this video starts with reviews of the book. They sometimes read certain segments of the book. And, they show some animated summaries of it as well. And, the Gen Z is really loving these booktubers. And, one Nielsen survey cited in The Guardian found that 34% of people aged between the age of 14 to 25 actually use NotTube to discover new books. So we know NotTube is a search has become a search engine, right?
Right.
But now they're using it to discover books as well.
Interesting.
And so in Korea, there's a lot of famous booktubers. I've never heard of them, but apparently there are some with over 1.3 million subscribers. And they kind of follow that similar format where they offer thoughtful commentary and, book exchange content as well. And you know what's more interesting? More readers are syncing books with playlists. So they're coming up with playlists that's very suitable to have on in the background while you're reading this specific book, which I would love to get that kind of recommendation,
However, what if I'm thinking that it has to have no lyrics? Because
of course, it's no lyrics.
Okay, I was gonna say because I would be so tempted. Okay, I'm reading, and then a song comes on, you're kind of distracted by the lyrics and
you're
sing along.
Singing to or listening to the lyrics instead of reading. Right. So most of the playlists are composed of jazz or classical music or even famous film OST.
Scores.
Yeah, film scores.
That makes sense. That makes really good sense.
분위기를 좀 만들어주는 거죠. 그러니까 I would love that, and I I need my big headphones to really help me focus, get
Focus,
in that
right?
moment, right?
That makes sense.
But yeah, so this is what all the booktubers are doing. They're providing all these playlists or even read with me sessions where they're just videos of people reading and you just have it on while you read your own book. So that is the trend among the book lovers.
Thank you. But
Do
I want
we
to
have
get to
time to
I want to
one more?
squeeze it in if we can, just a little bit of it. Yeah.
Okay, so just short,
Yes.
briefly, there's the retro snacks are coming back. Have you noticed in the 편의점?
Like I've been hearing this and I've
Yes.
been seeing some of the signs. Like, do you have a favorite without giving like the full name?
Yes, but
Okay.
you know what? My favorite ice cream of all time when I was young was 별난땡. Do you know this one?
I know what it
it's
is.
the coffee in the outside, and then you eat the layer, and then it's chocolate, and you eat the layer, and then it's 사탕, 별사탕. Oh, so my favorite. But sometimes, if I go to like 시골, or some markets, they have it.
They have it.
Yeah, but I don't think they're trying to make it come back.
It's not like supposed to be trendy, but they have it.
But I'm just I just go crazy. I'm like,
Oh, really?
Yes, but that's my thing. Do you have a snack that you want to see come back?
The thing is, like, I didn't grow up in Korea, so I don't have like all these like memories.
Oh,
I just
right.
sometimes I see snacks. I'm like, they've had this for like a really long time.
Oh,
and
yes.
even like
The
I know
old times.
Yeah, like 근데 이거는 it's always been popular. The banana 차는 거
Oh, 그 아직도 있죠.
아직도 있는데, and then Jenny made it like really.
Oh, really?
She made it like super popular.
Yes, because she was on an interview saying that's
her favorite
snack,
snack, right? Right.
It's so artificial tasting for me.
I had one recently because my daughter, she.
냄새부터 너무.
근데 하나 먹었는데 I was like, it's like so super sweet.
Yes.
So 하나 먹고 that was enough. It was just like one.
Yes.
Okay, I remember the
That's
taste.
enough.
That was enough. Yeah.
Right. So, these old times discontinued food or snacks is coming back with major, ramen companies like Dongdaeng, they're
Yes.
coming up with their, for their 60th anniversary, they're coming back with their line of ramen as well. And even the fast food franchise, they're jumping on the move with, we know some the Lotteng. Oh, that sounds like I gave it away. Lotteng. They have like some burgers with like squid in it. That's been quite popular. Squid burger. And they did a survey and 90% of the people said they wanted it back. So they're coming back.
Interesting.
And Burger Deng, the Burger Wang, they're also coming back with their burger with the mozzarella cheese, which I remember was one of my favorites. Why are they doing it? Because these companies are feeling like it's a safe strategy in an unpredictable economy.
I see.
Consumers buy for nostalgia. And the younger buyers are curious. 이게 옛날에는 그렇게 핫했대 이러면서 또 사보는 사람도 있고.
Of course.
People in our age were like, good old times.
Right.
그러면 all the reasons to really buy this, right? So
Win-win for the companies.
yes, so that is the reason why they are all releasing these good old snacks. And I hope the 별난땡 comes back.
You're like, be trendy again, please.
여름에 특히 먹고 싶어요.
All right. Well, we're going to call it a wrap for today's segment. But thank you so much for bringing us such fun trends to think about, to try out. And we'll check in with you next week. Thank you, Lian.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. It's time to wrap up hour number 1. We have more in hour number 2. This is Fly by Epic High. Enjoy. I'll be back at 8.
힘들죠 오늘도 잔인한 세상은 너를 비우고 거울 앞에서도 기죽고 또 홀로 술잔을 비우고 Don't know where to go 나는 모래 실수로 모든 것을 잃고 고개를 숙일 땐 손을 모아 날개를 펴고 You can fly 눈을 뜨면 맞는 아침 똑같은 방향뿐인 삶의 나침반 만만한 세상에 쉽게 무릎 꿇고 쉴새 없이 신세 타령만 아련한 예 꿈을 쫓던 가련한 두 발로 화려한 날개를 펴고 You can fly
저 하늘 위에 새들보다
You can fly
단 하나뿐인 그대 하나 세상에 너를
Fly, fly, get You can fly 사랑이 차갑게 널 버려도 You can fly 아픈 가슴에 숨이 멎어도 You can fly Got to fly sky high 눈을 뜨고 바라봐도 빛은 없고 꿈을 꾸며 살아가도 길을 멀고 내 뜻대로 가도 숨을 몰아쉬고 진실을 말해도 돌아섰죠 아직도 찾는 것을 못 찾았고 아무도 너를 사랑하지 못한다고 나도 가면 빠져도 never die 날개를 피고 Let's go everybody fly 우리가 뭐래도 절대로 내 꿈을 포기 못해 누가 뭐래도 나는 절대로 한 번에 꿈몇만 번의 시도 위에 갈라서는 문 눈을 뜨며 살아감에 보여 희망의 향기가 모두 털어 날려버려 비관의 먼지다 역시 나도 때로 괜한 겁이 나 천천히 가 왜 꿈을 쉽게 버리나 때로 낮게 나는 새도 멀리 봐 어두운 밤일수록 밝으면 더 빛나
선을 하나 넘었을 뿐인데 익숙한 세상이
Fine. Here are your guidelines for days with yellow dust. First, check your windows to make sure the yellow dust can't get inside. Turn on the air purifier. Second, refrain from outside activities if possible. If you do go out, wear a mask. When you get home, thoroughly wash your hands and feet. Third, fully wash any fruits or vegetables that have been exposed to yellow dust. And last of all, get plenty of water. Keep up to date on weather forecasts for the latest yellow dust information.
This campaign was brought to you by BEFM, 부산 영어방송.
김밥 가게 박 사장님도, 문구점 김 사장님도
우리 부산의 경제를 움직이는 사람들. 우리 동네 작은 가게로 향하는 발걸음이 우리 부산의 경제를 키워가는 한 걸음입니다. 부산 방송광고 발전 협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
It's now 8 o'clock. This is Morning Wave in Busan, part 2. We're going to begin with Spotlight News. President Yi, Chinese President Xi hold first phone call. President Lee Jae-myung asked Chinese President Xi Jinping to play a constructive role for the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula in their first phone talks, Yi's office said yesterday. In return, Xi told Yi that China will make efforts to resolve the issue, saying that promoting peace and stability on the peninsula would serve as mutual interest for both South Korea and China, according to the presidential spokesperson. During the 30-minute conversation, Yi invited Xi to South Korea to attend the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC Summit, which will be held in Gyeongju in November. Cabinet approves special probes into ex-President Yoon Suk-yeol and Kim Gun-hee. The cabinet yesterday approved bills to appoint special counsels to investigate the botched martial law bid by former President Yoon Suk-yeol and corruption allegations against his wife Kim Gun-hee. President Lee Jae-myung presided over the cabinet meeting that also approved a special counsel probe into the drowning death of a Marine during a rescue operation for flood victims in 2023. He is widely expected to endorse the three bills and promulgate them, with the recommendation and appointment of special prosecutors likely to follow. U.S. expresses confidence in alliance with South Korea. The United States is confident that the Seoul-Washington alliance will continue to thrive under new South Korean President Lee Jae-myung's leadership, a State Department spokesperson said Tuesday local time. State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce confirmed the phone call that Yi and U.S. President Donald Trump had on Friday, where Yi and President Trump agreed to work together to swiftly reach a mutually satisfactory trade agreement, according to Yi's office. The two leaders are expected to have their first in-person encounter on the sidelines of the Group of Seven, or G7 summit, set to be held in Alberta, Canada. Men's football team beats Kuwait to end World Cup qualifiers with undefeated record. The South Korean national men's football team defeated Kuwait at home 4-0 yesterday, celebrating their early qualification for the big tournament in front of delighted supporters. Chun Jin-woo, Lee Gang-in, Oh Hyung-yu, and Lee Jae-sung each scored a goal at Seoul World Cup Stadium in front of some 41,000 fans gathered to watch the team's final Group E match in the third round of the Asian World Cup qualifiers. South Korea had already clinched their World Cup berth with a 2-0 away win over Iraq last Thursday. Head coach Hong Myung-bo had previously said that the Kuwait match would be a proving ground for young and inexperienced players. School shooting in Austria leaves 11 dead. 10 people have been killed in a school shooting in the Austrian city of Graz in what is the deadliest gun attack in the country's recent history. Police said the 21-year-old gunman, a former student, took his own life in a school bathroom shortly after. Austrian Chancellor Christian Stocker announced a period of mourning, saying that this was a dark day in the country's history and a national tragedy that shocked everyone. Austrians own an estimated 30 firearms for every 100 people, making the country one of the most heavily armed civilian populations in Europe. And this was Spotlight News. This is Wa글와글, and Haley's back in the studio to waggle with me. Welcome back.
Hello again.
We're going to start with the situation in Los Angeles and LA. We have a special interview that is coming up real soon. An expert will cover the larger issues, but this particular social media post has caught the attention of those of us here.
Right. So this is from X, formerly Twitter, by Donald Trump Jr., so Trump's eldest son, under the title, Make Rooftop Koreans Great Again. An obvious play on words on his father's campaign platform, MAGA, Make America Great Again. So what is this? This is a picture, kind of a meme of a Korean-American business owner inspecting a rifle. This is from the LA riots back in 1992. With a caption, everybody rioting until the rooftop starts speaking Korean. He didn't write this. This was a part of that photo.
Yes.
So let me give you a little bit of background on this, and you can see the photo on our YouTube. So the LA riots in the early 90s, they were in response to racial injustices and violence perpetrated onto now famous Rodney King. He was a black man who was beaten by 4 LAPD, Los Angeles Police Department officers, who were all later found not guilty by the court, which led to these protests, which then turned into riots. They ensued across LA. Some local Korean Americans at that time, they took up arms to defend their businesses from looters.
Right.
I mean, there's a whole controversy about that we won't get to at this point. It was and it still is controversial. That's just the background. As the Korean Americans who took action to initially safeguard their livelihoods, they were both applauded by some as symbols of self-reliance, but also by others condemned for risking exacerbating existing racial hostilities in their neighborhoods.
So this post that we also just showed you seems to be touching, scratching at the surface of old wounds.
Right. So pundits say that the post by Trump Jr., it seems to be intended to remind people of the riots 33 years ago and make connections between then and what's going on in LA right now.
Yes.
Experts say, the situation, the causes and the extent, the levels are different. Also to defend perhaps his father's administration's choice to deploy the National Guard and now Marines to the scene. So the LA Korean Association, LA 한인회, they issued a statement saying that amid the ongoing unrest, Donald Trump Jr. demonstrated recklessness by referring to, quote, rooftop Koreans from the LA riots and posting mocking content on X regarding the current turmoil.
Yes.
The statement further said that this behavior could pose imminent risk during these delicate times, and also the traumas of Koreans should be never exploited for any purpose.
Right. And on a personal note, I lived in the vicinity of Los Angeles during that era. That was a really painful time.
You know people who had businesses in that area.
Exactly.
Right.
So, anyhow, we're going to move on for now. The election, it's done and over with, and now it's time to deal with the aftermath. And we're going to be talking about all the waste.
Right. So we're talking about sustainability, not politics.
No.
But from the actual polls, once you went to vote, when you enter, you have the kind of the cardboard stalls, the 3-sided cardboard, like the trifold stalls, to ensure privacy. Absolutely. Your vote should be secret. And then the metal/plastic, that table, the tall tables that you use as a voting surface. It's called 기표대 in Korean. Guess what happens to them?
What does happen?
They get
to them?
thrown out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So maybe the cardboard I can understand, but also, cardboard's pretty resilient. But even the metal and plastic mixed voting surface, that gets thrown out. And we're not talking about just dozens. We are talking about, all of them across the country.
Yes.
So at local polling stations or local government offices, currently we have dozens up to hundreds of them, depending on how big the polling station was. These tables and the booth walls lined up, waiting for junkyard or waste management companies to come pick them up.
Yes.
But here's the thing, though. They are in perfectly good condition because they're brand new and they are produced every single election.
So the question is this: why don't they just recycle or reuse them?
You would think that would make sense, but practical reasons. So according to the National Election Commission, the NEC, which responded to press inquiries, space and money. Because you do need a place to store them until the next election, and there just isn't. Which, okay, all right. So, and then you would have to inspect the tables and make sure everything's like standing fine, there are no scratches or anything, and make the necessary maintenance before every election.
Okay.
So the authorities there estimate that it would actually be cheaper for them to just produce them brand new rather than inspect every single one. All right, but then it happens every single time.
Right.
Not every 5 years for the presidential election, but we have the local elections, we have the by-elections, general elections. So what are we talking about? Well, in the 2022 local elections, 4.17 billion won was used to make these voting stands. In the general elections of last year, 2.35 billion won. This year, 2.84 billion won.
I see.
So, we are talking about spending taxpayer money in billions every single election, but also an environmental problem.
Indeed, as JB says, 아깝습니다.
예,
28억.
너무나요.
Well, time and time again, the campaign banners and material are also waiting to be disposed.
They are, and we're talking about the campaign literature that's
Yes.
mailed to the voters, over 58 million booklets and pamphlets. But the thing is, these are like thicker books, and they're printed on colored paper, coated paper, so they are harder to recycle, so they get discarded as regular waste. 일반 쓰레기. The banners also created with synthetic material,
Yes.
thus cannot be recycled, and they will take billions just to dispose of. There are companies who take the banners and upcycle them into
Yes.
bags, but you can't do them for every single one.
That's true.
So according to a local Busan environmental group, there were 260,000 banners posted and collected in the 2022 election, 160,000 in 24.
I see. Wow.
Something
that's a
to
lot
think
of
about.
waste.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's move on and talk about this. Imagine you rent a car. It's
Sure.
very common, especially with summer vacation coming up real soon, and you find something inside the car. It's a gun.
I don't
can't
want to imagine. I don't want to live in that world.
Yes.
But this happened in South Korea. And guns in South Korea, they don't really mix, but it involved a military-issued gun. And this is the kicker. No one in the military knew about this until a civilian called it in. 민간인이 발견하고 보고했습니다. So a non-commissioned officer apparently rented a car to go pick up and drive a new conscript soldier to the unit. The rookie soldier had a K2 rifle that was issued to him, but he's a rookie for a reason.
Yes.
Just was not used to holding it on him all the time. Left it in the car. His officer didn't realize it, and he returned the car. So, and okay, sure, not sure, but really, the unit also had no idea that a gun was missing. How? I don't know. It was only when someone, a civilian, called the police after they found a gun just in the back seat or in a seat of a rental car 8 days later. So, although, of course, there are no casualties, no property damage, this is a procedural and possible safety lapse.
Of course.
Because, well, number one, the Army's looking into the case, including why an officer used a rental car to drive a soldier. Usually units do have their own vehicles.
Yes.
And also what is going on with their weapons management.
Once again, I can't believe this happened. The fact that somebody actually called it in, that's a good person. What if it wasn't a good person?
Exactly.
We have addressed...
sorry,
Yes.
I do want to make a correction.
Yes.
It was after 3 days. Right.
3 days, not 8
Yes,
days. Okay. So correction there. And now we have to address another danger, different kind. E-scooters, another popular mode of personal transportation. We've talked about e-scooters before. This time, though, we're going to talk about another popular mode of personal transportation or mobility. It's under fire. What are we talking about?
Right. So it's a particular style of a bicycle. It's called fixie bicycles. In Korean, it's pixie bike, pixie 자전거.
Okay.
Do you know what they are?
Yeah. When you said it like pixie,
Right, because it's
I know
fixie.
that.
So
Yeah, fixie.
it actually stands for fixed gear bicycles. Very popular amongst teens. You do see them. They're the really fragile looking ones. So I'm like, how do they stand? So they're used for athletes, for racing. Usually they're supposed to inside arenas or tracks.
Yes.
The whole thing about them is they can reach high speeds and shift directions really quickly because, as you can see from the name, fixed gear. There's no gears or brakes.
Yes.
There are no brakes. But because of this, they are extremely dangerous once they are outside the protected, flat, smooth surfaces of an arena, aka anywhere outside. But these have become kind of, apparently reports say, like a street culture for younger kids, ranging from upper elementary school to middle to high school age.
Yes.
And we do see them all the time on the roads.
We do. And we need to know, what are the laws surrounding these type of bicycles? That's the answer.
That is because they're actually not legally, in legalese, classification is important because that's how they get, categorized under the laws.
Sure.
They're not classified as bicycles legally.
Really?
Because they don't have brakes. There are categories of, criteria in which one must meet to be a bicycle. So they're actually banned from being ridden on bike lanes or sidewalks indoor. Legally opinion is divided on whether they should be ridden on like roads, like vehicle roads.
Yes.
The police say that under current laws, you can take them on roads, not because the law explicitly allows it to, it explicitly doesn't ban it.
I see.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah. So local governments are running safety programs with police officers and local officials going to schools, teaching them and showing them photos of accidents, of what happens when you ride bikes without brakes onto roads. Importance of wearing helmets, please, on any mode of transportation. And also not traveling in huge packs or weaving in and out of traffic.
So dangerous. Thank you for sharing this story with our listeners. And now for a final one, the mayor of Gyeongju has apologized for derogatory comments he made regarding a K-pop group.
A very famous one, too.
Oh, which one?
G.O.D.
Oh, really?
That one. Wow. So Gyeongju Mayor Chun Ha-kyung apologized to G.O.D. and the fans for calling the group, he said 한물 가다, which is like washed up / past their prime.
That's not nice.
Yeah, so this was during a special recording of KBS's music show for in commemoration of the upcoming Gyeongju APEC Summit.
Yes.
So the mayor was apparently on stage and made some remarks. And when he saw G.O.D., the very popular, by the way, they debuted, I believe, was it in the late 90s to early 2000s? Their prime went on for a long time. They kind of came back and they do almost annual concerts.
Yes.
Anyways, he saw the group and said, they're singers from my time. Aren't they washed up / past their prime? So this then incited controversy amongst the fans. And a day later, Mayor Chu posted an apology on his social media. So he deeply apologized for his remarks. He said it wasn't meant to bring down the artist by any means. He said it was kind of a exclamation of surprise and affection, saying that an artist from his day, whom he remembered from when he was young, they were still actively performing.
Okay.
In any case, just poor choice of words.
They apologize.
Right. So the group's leader, Park Jun-young, posted on his social media page.
Are you going to do it in his voice?
No. Oh my goodness, no. No.
Okay. No? Okay.
We're fine, what anyone says. I don't want you guys, the fans, to get hurt by what somebody said by mistakes. Don't stress out over something small because we have big things ahead of us.
Aww.
Yeah, that's lovely.
That's a positive take.
That is a very
He's
positive
always positive.
take. He really is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for going over all the Waggly stories, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right. And Tudung-nim says, it really hurts, even though I'm not a G.O.D. like a major fan, but it hurt their feelings. So I'm sure some people were hurt. We're going to get to our updated traffic and weather. It is a busy Wednesday morning on the roads. There are 2 accidents that we're going to report on. First up on Garak-daero from Garak Interchange to the Let's Run Park at the beginning of Joman-gyo. And there's another accident on Nakdong-daero from Deokjeon to Gupo, right by Gupo Station. It's been cleared up, but there's still backup ensuing because of this. It's congested on Chungnyeol-daero from Minam to Daesung intersection. Another bout of congestion on Chungjang-daero from pier number 5 to pier number 3. It's also slow going on Gwanmun-daero from Gaya overpass to Baegang Tunnel. It's currently 23 degrees Celsius under partially cloudy skies. The daytime high is expected to go up to 28, and it should be sunny right around lunchtime. Across the nation, another warm day with daytime highs going up to 30s in some inland regions. So this was your traffic and weather. This is our special interview. Los Angeles has erupted into unrest following a series of ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement raids that led to dozens of arrests. Tensions escalated on Saturday in Paramount, a predominantly Latino community south of LA, where protesters clashed with authorities after reports of detentions. There was a car set on fire in neighboring Compton, intensifying the chaotic situation. And in response, President Donald Trump ordered the deployment of the California National Guard under the authority of what he calls Title 10. So the protests have continued. So let's find out more, because from what I understand, it's not just in Los Angeles anymore. It may have spread to other cities. We're going to find out from our expert today, Dean Alex Aleinikoff, Executive Dean for the New School for Social Research and Senior Fellow at the Zolberg Institute of Migration and Mobility at the New School. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Yes. So if you can first explain to us the backdrop, the context that led to the recent immigration raids in Los Angeles and why they triggered such intense public protests.
Yeah, so President Trump has announced a goal of deporting 1 million undocumented immigrants from the United States. And the administration said that they were going to go after criminal aliens, dangerous people who were dangerous to the public safety. And they quickly discovered that they couldn't deport 1 million people if they were focused only on criminals, because the vast majority of undocumented people in the United States are not criminals. So they've then expanded their deportation efforts. So first, they've removed the temporary legal status of groups of immigrants like Afghans and Cubans and Nicaraguans that the Biden administration gave temporary status to. And they took that away and they said, well, now you're here illegally and we can try to deport you. And then they geared up these so-called worksite enforcement actions, these raids on work sites, because that's where a lot of undocumented workers are, in factories and restaurants, at day labor sites where they hang out and wait for people to come by and seek day labor. And so they went into Los Angeles to perform some of these raids at a day labor site and also at a business. And when the community heard about it, it was outraged. It said, these are people who went to work in the morning. They've now been arrested, put in detention. We can't talk to them. We're not allowed to have access to them. And why are you breaking up the community and separating families when you said you'd be focusing on criminals? And LA, as you know, is a heavily immigrant city.
Yes.
As are many U.S. cities, and it was seen as a real attack on the community for no reason. The average undocumented immigrant in the United States has been in the U.S. for more than 10 years. They're part of communities. They have children that are U.S. citizens, often married to U.S. citizens as well. So this expansion of these raids was seen as a dramatic escalation. And moreover, they came in a way, not like the ICE officers usually do. They came in wearing almost army fatigues and carrying weapons, like a military action rather than an immigration enforcement action, which is supposed to be a civil, not a criminal or military action.
I see. Thanks for explaining the backdrop of what's been happening. So, Dean Aleinikoff, can you explain to us, because here in Korea, our listeners and viewers, they might not fully understand the difference between, for example, the National Guard or the Marines, the Marine Corps, units who are deployed. What is the difference, the significance, if you can explain the significance of this?
Yeah, so every state has a National Guard. California has a National Guard. These are people who have jobs elsewhere. They part-time and they're in the reserve, and they can be called up for if there's a natural disaster to help out, or if there's civil disorder. And it's somewhat ordinary for the National Guard to be brought up. Even though it's called the National Guard, it's actually a state National Guard. The president is given the authority to so-called federalize the National Guard if he he thinks that the conditions are so serious that federal laws can't be enforced or that there is a rebellion. And normally, in almost every example that this has happened in U.S. history, the authorities of the state have said, we can't handle this ourselves. Mr. President, would you please federalize the Guard, take control, and help us resolve either a natural disaster or a civil disorder, something like that. In this case, Trump did it on his own, without against the wishes of the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, and against the wishes of the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass. Now, moving to the Marines is another escalation.
Right.
Technically, he can deploy the Marines wherever he wants. They're all over the United States in various bases and the like, so he can bring them into Los Angeles. But it's seen as an escalation because this is the military. These are full-time military people. The California National Guard are drawn from California. The Army folks will come from all over the United States. They may not be trained in crowd control or de-escalation the way the National Guard is, so it's seen as a militarization of the activity. What limits both the actions of the National Guard and the Marines is a law that says the military cannot undertake civil law enforcement activities inside the United States. Very important law protecting. And that has been the rule, but the president can overcome that if he invokes what is known as the Insurrection Act, where he says there is a rebellion going on, an insurrection in the United States, a massive violation of federal law. He can then he can invoke the act, and that then gives the Marines the authority to enforce the law, meaning they could then arrest people and the like. Currently, it's not clear what the Marines are doing or what the National Guard are doing. They're basically protecting federal buildings, but they're not on the streets undertaking crowd control. That's the LA police and the sheriffs in the area. And that's what the governor and the mayor are saying is, we can handle this through our law enforcement officers. We don't need or want these other federal, either the National Guard or the Marines there. And in fact, they say it was the bringing in of the National Guard that really sparked the disturbances. Trump says the National Guard saved LA, and otherwise it would be burning. That seems wholly fictitious. But the governor says, no, you provoked the disturbances by federalizing the National Guard and bringing them in against our wishes.
I see. So when we look at the situation, obviously this is Los Angeles, is in California, and you've already mentioned the governor, Gavin Newsom. So Governor Newsom has called the deployment of the National Guard troops as what he says illegal, immoral, and unconstitutional, and has even vowed to sue the Trump administration. So are there legal grounds, in your opinion, where his claims could be taken to court?
Yeah, he's already filed a lawsuit in court. He did a day or two ago. And then he went into court and asked for what's known as a temporary restraining order, meaning he wanted a quick decision by the judge saying, stop what the National Guard is doing while you litigate the case. That was denied today. The court said, we're not going to do that. And I don't think he's got a strong legal case. His claim is that the situation was not bad enough to warrant the president saying, I need to bring the National Guard in. That's something a court is very unwilling to say to the president. You can't make that judgment. He's also saying that the statute, there's a technical argument that the statute required the request to the National Guard to go through the governor's office, and they didn't use that. But I think he has a weak legal case. He has a much stronger moral case here. That the Guard was simply not needed, and Donald Trump is using this as a way to make a much broader point about his authority to deport illegal immigrants, as he says, and also to punish California. He's done other things. He's threatened to take away education funding from California. They've overturned their electric vehicle rule. They're punishing California because it's seen as an anti-Trump state. So this whole raid here and the actions Trump has taken has got to be seen in a broader context. And in fact, it's not surprising. I mean, I think it's perfectly plausible that they chose Los Angeles and undertook these raids knowing they would get opposition that would allow them to in the Guard and create the disorder. You know, Trump is sort of famous for creating problems and then solving them and claiming he solved something when it was his own problem he created. And this is another one of those situations.
If we can go back to President Trump himself and the legal basis for him deploying the National Guard troops and further on the Marine Corps as well. I mean, do you think that you said earlier Governor Newsom morally may have claims, maybe not legally, but in terms of the legal basis for President Trump, do you think he has a good case?
I mean, it's very hard to think he has a good case, that there was so much of a disturbance. I just don't think you'll find a court to say to the president, you didn't have the authority to do this. Once the president says, as a matter of, protecting federal officers and conduct, their argument was ICE went in to conduct these raids.
Yes.
There was opposition from the people, and the president's job is to enforce the federal law, the law of the United States, which includes immigration enforcement. And if there are mobs that stop the enforcement of the law, he can say, I need to bring in other authorities to make sure ICE can do its job. And I think there was no reason to do this. The LAPD could have handled this, but I don't think a court is going to say that what he did was illegal.
And from what I understand, there are protests that have not just popped up, obviously, in Los Angeles, but across the nation, from what I'm reading right now, that, activists are gathering, whether it's in New York, Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta. Those are pretty major cities across the United States. So do you think that these protests, it's a growing movement, or do you think that this will kind of die down in your guesstimation?
It's hard to say. I think it's likely to grow. It really depends on the Trump response. If they actually withdraw the National Guard, maybe not. If they step it up, maybe so. Interestingly enough, the proclamation calling for the National Guard was not limited to Los Angeles. It said we'll use the National Guard wherever there's civil disturbance, if there's a obstruction of the enforcement of federal law.
Sure.
And very interestingly, there's an interesting a coincidence here of events, what's happening. On Saturday, it's Trump's birthday, and he has called for a military march, parade in Washington, which is unheard of. We don't do that in the United States. And as people have pointed out, it's what happens in North Korea and in the Soviet Union, where the tanks roll past the political leaders. But Trump has asked for that at a cost of over $100 million to bring these tanks and other soldiers to bring in. What's risen up instead is a movement by local groups organized around the country to have what's called No King's Day. We don't have a king. And there are now scheduled over almost 2,000 protests that'll be done in big cities, little cities, towns, villages, all across the United States, in every state of the United States. And I think because of the actions in Los Angeles, you're likely to see much bigger crowds there than you would have otherwise seen. And in some ways, it'll be used as a way around the country to say, we're not a military dictatorship. We don't want this authoritarianism. Stop using the military inside the United States.
I see. Well, thank you so much for explaining the ins and outs of what's happening. As, of course, many of us have family, whether it's in Los Angeles or across the United States. So thanks for joining us today. We do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Have a good day.
You too as well. This was Dean Alex Aleinikoff, and we talked about the deployment of the National Guard as well as the Marines to Los Angeles in the protests there. And of course, as he just mentioned, our expert, that there will be additional protests in other cities across the country as well. And this whole No Kings movement is seemingly gaining steam right now. We're going to take a song break right now. We need a little breather after that. This is Photograph by Ed Sheeran.
Loving can hurt. Loving can hurt sometimes. But it's the only thing that I know. When it gets hard, you know it can get hard sometimes. It is the only thing that makes us feel alive. We keep this love in a photograph. We made these memories for ourselves, where our eyes are never closing, our hearts are never broken, and time's forever frozen still. So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me closer till our eyes meet. You won't ever be alone. Wait for me to come home. Loving can heal. Loving can mend your soul. And it's the only thing that I know. I swear it will get easier. Remember that with every piece of you. And it's the only thing we take with us when we die. Keep this love in its photograph. We made these memories for ourselves, where our eyes are never closing, hearts were never broken, time's forever frozen still. So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me closer till our eyes meet. You won't ever be alone. And if you hurt me, that's okay, baby. Only words bleed inside these pages. You just hold me. I won't ever let you go. Wait for me to come home. 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 Oh, you can fit me inside the necklace you got when you were 16, next to your heartbeat where I should be. Keep it deep within your soul. And if you hurt me, well, that's okay, baby. Only words bleed inside these pages. You just hold me. I won't ever let you go. When I'm away, I will remember how you kissed me under the lamppost back on 6th Street, hearing you whisper through the phone. Wait for me to come home.
And it's time for our Wednesday segment, Work in Progress. Jennifer's here once again. Hello.
Good morning.
Yes. Thanks for coming in once again. And I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, already second week of June.
Can you believe?
Oh, time flies.
Absolutely.
Any holiday plans for you?
No. No, nothing like that. Not quite yet.
Nothing major.
Yeah, nothing major. And like we have a lot of stuff that we need to take care of. And like especially among the admission season.
Oh, always.
스트레스 to the max right now. But it's okay.
Oh.
I'm managing. I'm smiling through the pain and, everything that goes
keep it
in.
up.
Yes. All right. So what are we covering today?
So today we are talking about a growing challenge in Korea's tech industry.
Oh.
And really in many countries, not only Korea.
Sure.
It's about how companies are struggling to both nurture junior talent and integrate global developers into their teams.
Ooh.
So two sides of the same coin, really.
Okay.
How to build a strong and sustainable tech teams.
Well, it sounds like a really timely issue because, I mean, when we hear tech, I mean, we think of like Korea and all the industries here. Right. So we're going to begin with this whole topic of junior developer. So what's going on here?
Right. In Korea's fast-paced IT market, companies often expect developers who can contribute immediately. But that's hard for junior developers when you're new. They need like mentoring and time to learn, right? And recently, there's been a debate about whether companies should invest more in training juniors or whether that responsibility falls to the individuals.
Oh, that is a conundrum, and it can be quite tricky because, of course, I mean, companies, they want results. Time is money. Time is ticking, right?
Yeah.
But if they don't invest that time in juniors, where will the next pool, the next generation of talent come from?
Exactly. And there's also been growing criticism that too many firms are relying heavily on senior developers, which puts a lot of pressure on them. They are expected to deliver and mentor juniors and often handle project management too. There's too much work, and some seniors are burning out because there's no proper support system.
I think even among some of our waivers, we might have people who are in this industry who might be kind of higher up seniors, and often I hear about the stress, like kind of the burnout that they're experiencing. Because that is a lot to juggle, a lot on your plate, right?
A lot, yeah.
So the question is this: how can companies find, I guess, like a better balance?
Well, some are experimenting with structured mentorship programs or pairing juniors with experienced developers on real projects so they can learn by doing, which I think is great. And there's also like a talk about adjusting expectations. Juniors aren't ready-made talent. They are an investment.
Yes. I mean, let that sink in a little. I mean, no one is ready to go, even if you want them to be, hit the ground running, as they say. That does make sense. So now if we can turn our attention to the second part, global developers. What's the challenge there?
Well, Korea's demand for AI and software developers is huge, as we already know. But local supply can't keep up. So naturally, hiring foreign talent becomes important. But there are still major barriers. First, language. Second, work culture. Visa processes and onboarding practices.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That whole process.
It's not as simple as it seems.
Even with Korea's growing global image, it might be tough for example, a foreign developer to kind of fit into the mold of any said company.
Some companies have improved using English as a main language in the company, offering cultural training or building more international teams.
Sure.
But many firms still expect a full Korean proficiency or have unspoken cultural norms that make integration hard. So,
I'm sure.
Yeah, when I was working for these companies, training for these companies, I could see a siloed departments, groups.
Yes, within the team, obviously.
Yeah, within the organization.
So I'm guessing that it's especially challenging in these high demand fields. Right now, the hottest thing is AI, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In AI, companies are desperate for talent. But foreign developers often face more obstacles than opportunities. If these barriers aren't addressed, Korea risks losing its competitiveness.
And
they
we
will all pack their bags and leave, right?
Can't afford that. I mean, as an industry, as a country. So are there any examples of companies who might be doing it better or even well?
Oh, yeah, there are some. Some of the large tech firms here and startups working in global markets have built hybrid teams mixed with mixed language use, clear onboarding, and flexible collaboration. They focus on team dynamics and shared goals, not just the language skills.
Because sometimes I feel yes, a foreign resident might be proficient in the language. Like they know how to speak, they understand, but it's like the culture, not just of Korea, but sometimes the company culture too.
There are so many unwritten rules, right?
그리고 we call it like 눈치 in Korean.
눈치.
그러니까
어렵습니다.
right, like reading the room, reading the culture of the company. It might be really difficult. And connecting to the whole junior issue, once again, both about like building the environments that, they're different. But we want the talent, whether they're junior developers or foreign developers. We want them to do well.
Yeah, exactly. The bigger picture here is about like culture, as you mentioned.
Okay.
Can companies move beyond the one-size-fits-all model and create systems where juniors can grow and like global talent can contribute fully? That is the question.
So it does sound like Korea and Korea's tech industry might be at a crossroads.
Yeah, well said. The talent shortage won't fix itself. Just waiting won't solve the problem. Companies need to think long term, invest in junior developers, lower barriers for global talent, and build more inclusive team cultures.
I see. But, it's not just about like the company, atmosphere, the 분위기.
네.
그런 것도 중요하지만 like on an individual level, I'm thinking that there has to be, work done by each individual as well. So what kind of advice would you give to whether it's young developers or foreign developers who might be trying to enter this market?
Of course, like companies cannot provide everything. So for juniors, find mentors, build practical experience, and be patient. And growth takes time in any industry.
Yes.
For foreign developers, look for globally minded companies. And don't be afraid to ask about support structures during the hiring process.
That's a great point that you make. And, also the whole idea of like, we talk about brain drain every once in a while, the fact that we have, such a talented pool that might have, like homegrown talent here in Korea. And then the whole idea about what if like they are going abroad and taking their talent with them, obviously. And then that might be a disservice to the Korea tech industry, right?
That's a big loss.
Issue.
That's a big loss.
So in terms of that, do you think that companies, they should be doing more to give more incentives and also to have maybe a more foundational support for them on a company and team level?
That is their homework. They need to think of like right ways, not just investing financially, but think of other ways to make people stay.
Right. And studies show time and time again that the younger generation, let's say Gen Z, as an example, not all, but many of them, they really truly believe in the whole work-life balance. Yes, work is important, but there are other issues that might be even more important or equally important too.
I personally think organizational culture is one of the most important factors for making people stay. If they enjoy working in a place and working with people, then it's likely that they stay longer.
Right. And so when the reason why I bring this up is I see so many of our youth who actually go into company, let's say X, and then they go and they might be a little disappointed and then they leave very quickly. The turnover rate also is very high.
Please be patient.
But personally, I think individuals need to be patient, but also companies need to foster that type of environment.
Sure.
Where you
Companies that get this right will be much stronger in the years to come.
Yes.
They may not see the difference right away, but in the long run.
I see. Well, any last words as we wrap up our segment today? I mean, this was a kind of a specific topic where we talked about the tech industry, whether it be junior developers or foreign developers. So anything else you want to add?
Just to try to put yourself in the other person's shoes. Always consider from the other perspectives and see how you can help each other.
Yes.
And create a better company culture.
Right, right. Well, hopefully the goal is this, that it's not just the company that grows, but the junior talent that they grow as well.
Sure.
And so when everybody is relatively happy, I think, it makes for a better industry.
Always ask for help and ask questions.
And as if you're not a junior and if you're older and if you're of a superior position in terms of work, if somebody asks you a question, like don't be dismissive and say, 그런 것도 몰라?
Oh, that's so discouraging.
Right. Be helpful. I would like to say that. So.
네, 진짜 그런 답 한 번 들으면 다시는 질문 안 하게 되잖아요.
안 하게 되잖아요. Okay. That's the culture here. I'll just keep that to myself. I'll look it up on, AI.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to call it a wrap for today's segment. So thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
All right. Have a wonderful week.
Okay, I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Everybody, this was Jennifer, and this was Work in Progress today. And it's now time to wrap up our program, but I do want to get to some of your messages. We asked you today about your go-to beverage. What do you reach for, especially on hot days? Many of you said yes, water is good, but I saw a lot of iced Americanos. I think that was one of the most popular choices out there. I also see from Umberto, my go-to drinks are sweet tea and cold watermelon juice. That sounds so good. Watermelon definitely in season right now, and that's a good way to kind of hydrate yourself. So yes, let's enjoy all the watermelon we can. It's time to wrap up on this hump day. So before we go, a big shout out, of course, to our staff, always working hard behind the scenes. We have our producer, Choi Ye-ji. We have our writers, Haley Sa, Soo Kim. I'm your host, Catherine. I'll be back to do it all over again tomorrow. What's Up by the Four Non-Blondes as our final song. Have a great one. Bye, everybody.
And my life is still trying to get up that great big hill of hope for a destination. I realized quickly when I knew I should that the world was made up of this brotherhood of man, for whatever that means.